Lyndon Forbes Sampson Bonham, well known as the master politician and was an outstanding statesman. He was a great leader and our hero, you understand. That's why we remember.
Yeah, morning to you viewers. Today I want to say a very thank you for having me in your living rooms, bedroom, and possibly in the kitchen. Those ladies who are preparing the best dish today. You're on the air with State of the Nation. This program is sponsored by the Bonham Foundation and comes to you on the fourth Sunday of every month. Today, if Lyndon Forbes Sampson Bonham was alive, he would have been 90 years in 2013. It is now 28 years since his death. And on today's program, we will give you snippets of some comments and views that have been expressed at the funeral of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Bonham. First, among those, we'll have a look and try to reminisce as to what Hugh Desmond Hoyt, past president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, had to say about Lyndon Forbes Sampson Bonham.
Forbes Burnham was no ordinary mortal. In paying tribute to him, a world leader described him as one of the most outstanding figures of this century. But many years ago, our party's deputy leader, Comrade Ptolemy Alexander Reed, noted and remarked upon his uniqueness and pronounced the deep truth that such a leader comes to us once in an era and not necessarily with every generation. He was richly and splendidly endowed with those rare and special faculties that are reserved only for leaders of men and makers of history. His was a prodigious intellect, keen, probing, receptive to new ideas, new possibilities. His was a seemingly inexhaustible store of mental and physical energy. His was a phenomenal memory for dates, events, faces, and names. His was a wonderful ability to make friends and to sustain friendships. And his also was a lively sense of humor that he was wont to use with great effectiveness to save the day when nerves became frayed and tempers grew short. His personal charm was legendary, and he possessed the princely grace of being able to make people in humble positions, simple folk, feel at ease and comfortable in his presence. And among the gifts so lavishly bestowed on him was a transcendental power of oratory and eloquence, by which he could move his audience to both ecstasy and persuasion. These are but few of the remarkable attributes and qualities that made up the man Forbes Burnham. And he deployed them with consummate skill and resoluteness to serve the causes which he espoused and which were dear to his heart. In a special sense, the causes to which he dedicated his life and for which he fought with such strenuousness and tenacity, both at home and abroad, could be brought under a single rubric: a struggle against inhumanity and a struggle for social justice. He abhorred any system or set of arrangements which resulted in or facilitated the degradation, impoverishment, or exploitation of man by man. That is why throughout his life, he identified with and championed the cause of the poor, the oppressed, the disadvantaged, the vulnerable. He could never accept any thesis that poverty, ignorance, disease, and related evils were a natural or inevitable element in social organization. He refused to believe that, given the political will, it was beyond human competence and ingenuity to organize society and economic interrelations in a way that minimized these evils. And that is why he was a socialist. For him, socialism was about ameliorating and improving continuously the human condition. And he passionately believed that this was a duty cast upon all governments and all people by the requirements of common humanity. He was essentially a humane person. We who have had the privilege of being close to him can testify to the remarkable humanity, kindliness, indeed gentleness, which went into the greatness of the man. Certainly, the magnificence of his mind never for one moment blinded him to the merits of opposing points. Frequently, in those hard-fought debates, which are an essential and living part of our internal democracy, I have seen him begin strong, only gracefully to concede after argument to a different point of view. Indeed, argument and debate was the very stuff of his life, and the challenge of an opposing view the fuel of his intellect. Our country has had many heroes, many of them titans in their own right. But we have now lost our best friend. And I believe also that our region, the world, will be the poorer for his passing. And so today, our own titan sleeps. His sleep is just. His work well done. His loss cannot be made good. Yet, even as the hour of his passing crept up upon him unannounced, we knew that his strength would be with us today, tomorrow, and all time. For Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham cannot be held down by temporal dimensions of his age, nor can the context in which he lived and acted supply the measure of the man. For us in Guyana, he was of our time, but he was also above all time.
Yes, there you had some comments by past President Hugh Desmond Hoyt on Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham and his passing. In the studio with me today are some members of the executive of the foundation. To my left is Mrs. Gillian Gall, and to her left is Mr. Dwayne Edwards. These are young people who believe in the work, views, as well as the legacy of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. They will be speaking to you on some of the programs that the foundation have initiated with a view to ensuring that the ideas and the work and the legacy of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham lives on. You have heard the statements that have been made by Hugh Desmond Hoyt, real powerful statements, and who else could have described Lyndon Forbes Sampson and Sampson Burnham in a better way than Hugh Desmond Hoyt, who has worked with Forbes Burnham for a number of years, so he knows the man intimately. So as a result, he was able to make the comments that he made. Right now, we want to go in to hear what Dr. Reed had to say about Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham.
Forbes Burnham has got it going just as he would have liked. He moved so swiftly from life unto death that even though there were many people around, I am certain some of them did not realize when he was gone. His whole life was in a hurry. When men walked, Forbes Burnham, speed of a snail was faster than our walk. When Forbes Burnham walked, we trotted and ran, with the hope of merely keeping up with him. He is no more in the flesh. But because he thought I should be named a philosopher, I want to leave with you a question. That without destruction, there can be no construction. And since I've come from the old schoolhouse, I'll repeat that. Without destruction, there can be no construction. I ask those who sit on benches now if they ever give a thought to how much of the forest was destroyed so that those benches could have been created. Forbes Burnham was no mere creature on this earth. He was a creator. Look around and you see his many creations, what men talked about, what men theorized. Forbes Burnham constructed. Some men build castles that are built one day and are broken down the next. Some men build castles, as Ivan Forrester said, that are like bottles in the air. Some men must build castles over and over again. Forbes Burnham has built once castles that will stand forever. For me, he is not dead. He, I believe, has actually destroyed himself, creating so much violence to his physical body, so that the process of development can proceed. Let us therefore see him destroy himself so that he can build not only a better time, but probably better places in many other parts of this world. Yes, we mourn the loss of the greatest, of the wisest, of the strongest. Yes, that is the soul we have lost. Sometimes in my roaming around, I used to advocate that we take care of Forbes Burnham, because men of his type do not appear any time in the year. I did not dream, I did not think that Forbes Burnham would have had me saying this final message. But this message is not for him. This message is for us. That here tonight in such large numbers, with people visiting from so many parts of the world, we commit ourselves so that his sacrifice would not be in vain. Let us therefore destroying ourselves, the evils, the bitterness, the malice, the conflict, the confusions, and construct within ourselves the habits, the attitude that will push the development program more and more. If there's a message to give, that is a message from me to you, but not only from me, from the spirit and work of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham.
You have heard Dr. Reed and Hugh Desmond Hoyt with their thoughts on Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham at his passing. Like I said earlier in the program, if Forbes Burnham he was alive today, he would have been 90 years old. It is now 28 years now since his death. And the foundation, that is the Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham's Foundation, has as its goal to ensure the legacy, the ideas, the thoughts, and the works of Forbes Burnham live on. In the studio, I said with me today are two young people, Dwayne Edwards and Julian Gall. I called the name wrongly in the first instance, but I corrected myself by saying it the right way this time. These two young people have committed themselves to the work of the Forbes Burnham Foundation, and they have been doing some sterling things, which they will tell you about today. First of all, I want to introduce Dwayne, because Dwayne is the man who is responsible for our website, and he's the man responsible for public relations as far as the work of the foundation is concerned, to keep you informed, to advise you where you can find information, things like that. So Dwayne, first of all, I want to invite you to tell the listening public what has been going on in the area of responsibility, public relations, as well as the operation of our website and information that are posted, what you've been doing.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hines, and good morning to the listening public. Before I get down to giving the information per se, I think it's very important that I give a background to contextualize what we're doing here.
Of course.
Right? The public would have heard the presentation by Hoyt, and from that very short presentation, we get the sense that the man that he's talking about was an outstanding personality, very outstanding intellect, very outstanding contribution to Guyana, post-independent Guyana. This is a man that was responsible for many of the lasting institutions that we have in Guyana today. The political institutions, the PPP, the PNC, economic institutions such as the cooperative banks, those are not around anymore. Educational institutions such as the Multilateral School, University of Guyana. So this is a man, Cyril Potter colleges and so forth. So this is a man that has made lasting contributions to Guyana in all areas of national life and nation building. But even outside of Guyana, very lasting institutions, for example, CARICOM. This is one of the founders of CARICOM. So that said, and that's just a snippet of the contributions, the sterling contributions he made to Guyana and the CARICOM. But even if those were enough to earn him the respect and a revered place among respected Guyanese personalities. And so, but for a number of years, decades even, what we've been experiencing in Guyana, apart from the lack of information or the paucity of information on Forbes Burnham, we have been exposed to a deliberate attempt to demonize Forbes Burnham, right? And it is against that backdrop that we at the Forbes Burnham Foundation are doing whatsoever is within our powers and within the resources at hand to, first of all, contextualize, make the information about Burnham available out there, because there's a paucity of information. People want to know about Forbes Burnham, because recently there has been a kind of resurgence of interest in the man. So youths, persons doing research, ordinary people, they want information about Forbes Burnham. And this is where we come in.
Okay.
And we, at the Forbes Burnham, we utilize...
At the foundation level?
At the foundation level, Forbes Burnham Foundation, we utilize all the media available to us to make that information available. One such medium is this very program that the viewers are watching. But apart from that, we also have our official website. The website address is lfsburnhamfoundation.org. On the website, there are speeches of Forbes Burnham that has been digitized and now available in electronic form. There are presentations on Forbes Burnham by very respected academic and public personalities. There are a lot of other information, and there are also a biographical list of all the books and publications that were written on Forbes Burnham. Right? So on the website, if you go, you would find a lot of useful information. And we're in the process of consistently updating the website. So things that you might see, you might not see something today, but if you go again tomorrow, next week, you might find what you want. But apart from the website, we also have the Forbes Burnham Foundation Facebook group. And that is a very active medium. Very active medium. We have about close to 2,000 persons on the members of that group, and they're very active. Every day there is some post about either topical issues, discussion on topical issues. There are posts about information relating to Forbes Burnham, life, works, and legacy. There are some even some very historic pictures that are posted on a regular basis. Some photos of Forbes Burnham that you've never had the opportunity to see. You can go on the website and see those things. So it's a very active group. Persons comment, post on a regular basis. So we know the younger generation, they are connected to the Facebook network. So that is a very convenient and available medium for the younger generation, specifically. Apart from that, we also...
Dwayne, I find that very, very interesting. I'm coming down to you because I like the things you're saying, because on this very program that I had calls coming in from members of the public asking or advising us as to what we can do, what the foundation should do. And I am very pleased today to have you on this program, because I know that we have been discussing these issues, and it is now a reality where people can access information like the ones you're saying.
Yes.
And you may continue. Let me just hear more.
Yes. And apart from the website, apart from this very program that we're on, and apart from the Facebook group, we also have a book exhibition that it's kind of mobile. If there's an event somewhere and we are invited to make the exhibition available, we make that available. And the exhibition is an exhibition of some of the writings in traditional print form of Forbes Burnham's, some of his speeches, not writings, some of his speeches. Right, so there's that also available. And so in terms of public relation and access to information, those are the current media that are available. In addition to that, also interestingly, we have videos on YouTube videos.
Okay.
Videos, recordings of this very program, they're posted on YouTube. So if viewers, for some reason or the other, miss the program, they can get it back on, go to YouTube and access it. But apart from those, they are
And on Facebook.
and on the Facebook, because we post it also on the Facebook group. And apart from just recordings of this program, any videos and audio information we get relating to Forbes Burnham, we upload on the YouTube site and also make it available on both on the Facebook site and the website.
That's a lot, and I think we would at a time I'll invite viewers to call and perhaps maybe inquire, maybe ask you maybe additional questions which you may be able to answer. I want to bring you in, Julian, because Julian, you have been doing a lot of work, and you were the vice chairman of the foundation. But your area of responsibility, I understand, specifically for this year, is in the area of the mentorship scheme, which I understand have been launched by the foundation. Tell us about this mentorship scheme.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hines. Morning to the viewers. And thank you for having me on the program once again. But before I go into the mentorship scheme, I want to follow up on what Mr. Edwards was saying just now. One of the projects that we have ongoing at the moment is a compilation of the speeches by our founder leader, Mr. Burnham, and we're appealing to persons who may have books or any written information about the founder leader going back from as far as the 1940s or even before that you think may be relevant. If you can make contact with us to have us give us a copy of those speeches, because we're doing a publication of his speeches and we would really need as much information as possible. So if you have anything that goes back to that era or coming forward that you think, you know, we may not have and you would like to share with us, we're appealing to you to bring in any information that you have.
How could they make contact with you? I know the chairman's number, 624-2057. That is Mr. Vincent Alexander. What is your number if members of the public need to make contact to make available those documents or books, as you say?
You can contact the chairman, Mr. Vincent Alexander, or if you know any other member of the Forbes Burnham Foundation, you can also contact us via Facebook. You can send us a message and let us know how we can make contact with you to have those books, or if you know any other member of the foundation.
All right, thank you. I want to go into the mentorship scheme. That's an area that I spoke about in the last program.
The mentorship scheme would be launched on the 8th of September. It was postponed. We were supposed to be launching it last Sunday on the 18th of
August, I remember.
Due to circumstances beyond our control, but we would be doing so on the 8th of September at Critchlow Labour College. We have already met with the students, some of the students and parents, and we are expecting that program to, we'll get into the details more with the parents and children about the program. Yeah, that's about
That is, well, I like that, because now, young people, Dwayne Edwards, Julian Gall, young people now involved in advancing the work, not only of the foundation, but of the ideas of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. I need a little bit more specific on the mentorship scheme. How could anyone, student or say, become a member to be part of the scheme? Say, I have just completed my common entrance exam, what they call the grade 6, they call it now?
Yeah.
The grade 6 exam. Who is this scheme for, what it's about, and so on? Those kind of information members of the public may need to know.
Okay, the scheme caters for children who would have written the grade 6 or examination, but they must be members of sister organizations that are connected to the Forbes Burnham Foundation. Those organizations would be organizations that would have had a relationship with the founder leader, Mr.
Okay.
Burnham, and those are the People's National Congress Reform, the Georgetown District, Trade Union
That
Movement.
he was a part of.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we send forms to those organizations and we ask them to submit the names of children who would have written the exam, regardless of what results they would have received. And then we would go through those
Mhm.
forms and select the quota that we would be able to manage, because it's a small organization. We cannot manage more than a certain number, so it's not open to the general public,
Mm. Well, that's
just to the various organizations, the Georgetown District of the party and some trade union movements.
now the scheme of which you speak. This being a part of the scheme will be for what duration?
We cater for the students from Form 1 right up to Form 5 or Form 6. Throughout their high school period, we provide mentorship for them.
And those who are the mentors are what type of people you have being mentors for
We
these
have
children?
resource persons from various organizations and background who we feel can interact with young people, various professionals in different fields. We also provide medical for them. We have tours, we have camps, and we try to work with the students to make them as rounded individuals as possible.
You also help to provide some of the school appurtenances, the school material, the books,
Yeah.
book
Okay,
bags, and
okay.
those kind of things, as far as possible.
Yeah, we try to assist them during their school year, school life,
Mhm.
with any assistance, maybe in the home that is shortcoming and they would need any
Assistance.
further assistance. We try as much as possible through donations
Mhm.
to assist them and help them to offset some expenses
Excellent, Julian.
and supplement their
Julian, I think
education.
that's a wonderful, perhaps, program in itself. The program in itself is a very interesting one, and I must commend the foundation for introducing such a program. Dwayne, I want to come back to you in relation. I read quite recently that the Ministry of Culture has published something on Forbes Burnham.
Okay, it's 2 volumes of his parliamentary speeches.
It's parliamentary
Yeah,
speeches.
those are parliamentary speeches. They are available on the Caribbean Press website. And those 2 are just the start. There are other volumes.
Okay.
And but the 2 volumes, volume 1 and volume 2, they are available on the Caribbean Press website. We also made a link on the Forbes Burnham website. So even if you go on the Forbes Burnham website, you'll see a link to those speeches.
Mhm.
But to supplement the effort by the Parliament and the Government of Guyana, what we are doing, we would be compiling his non-parliamentary speeches,
Okay.
right? So
Yes.
volume 1, as related by Ms. Gall,
Mhm.
is due for February 2014, right? And we
That's it. His birth anniversary.
yes, his birth
observance.
anniversary. Yes, so you will have the Government of Guyana doing the parliamentary speeches, but we would be compiling volumes of the non-parliamentary speeches.
But this includes speeches that have been made out of Guyana and in Guyana?
Yes, definitely, out of Guyana. Speeches by Forbes Burnham,
by Forbes
in spite
Burnham.
of where those speeches were made.
Mm. Well, excellent work. I want to kind of commend you, but of course we will be inviting members of the public. You can call in on this program, make your comments, your contribution in relation to this excellent work that is being done by these young people in the foundation to make sure that the ideas, work, views of Forbes Burnham lives on. Julian, what other activity, because you have said a lot in relation to the mentorship scheme, what other activities covered his speeches, what is happening both in Parliament, his parliamentary speeches, and what was being done outside. I know on this program we have covered a number of areas that Forbes Burnham have had direct contributions to while he was head of government in this country, including the areas that, a few of the areas that Dwayne had mentioned, on foreign policy and education. We have covered the area on trade unionism, and we have covered on Forbes Burnham and religion, some very critical areas. People don't kind of remember that Forbes Burnham was actually single-handedly responsible for some of the religious holidays that we now observe. I'm talking particularly about Pakwa and Diwali, and those holidays were not part of the Guyanese thinking. But now we are observing those holidays, but people don't remember that it was introduced under the regime of Forbes Burnham. And you young people have been doing well. I want to tell you too that I'm inviting you, members of the public. You've been listening to this program. You're free to call in, make your comments, ask questions to these young people, perhaps make comments and perhaps advise them what additional work they should do. But I must tell you as well that they're doing some tremendous work. And those persons who have called in on this program for the past year and have been advising us what we should do, I should tell you too that we have actually implemented a lot of those suggestions and ideas that you have floated to us, and there are more things that will be coming on stream very soon. And of course, we're working collaboratively with the young people who have joined up in the foundation to ensure that the work of Forbes Burnham, or the ideas of Forbes Burnham, lives on. Yes, Julian?
Yes, Mr. Hines. Well, you've summed it up. There's not much more for me to add, but the Forbes Burnham Foundation has been working, and we continue to work with everyone who is interested and would like to make a contribution. And as I said before, we're appealing to members of the public, especially the older folks or senior folks.
I see our lines are going. Morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
A couple of things. First, concerning the Oliver Tambo Award, is the foundation doing anything to try to have it bestowed on? I heard that they're postponing. Is the foundation fighting in any way to have it bestowed on?
Okay.
Well, I like your question. You use the word fighting. The position that we have has been made clear on our last program. We have observed that the kind of comments that have been made, and to take a position, the work of Forbes Burnham is out there for all to see. And persons who have been making that kind of contribution to our Facebook and website in relation to the withholding of the award to Forbes Burnham, it has angered a lot of Guyanese and Caribbean kind of personalities, because people are aware of the contribution that Forbes Burnham. There's no one in the Caribbean that has made a greater contribution towards the liberation of South Africa than Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. We have made our position clear to the members of the family of Forbes Burnham, as well as we have made our position clear to the party that Forbes Burnham has founded. In relation to actual getting in contact with the South African government, we have not moved to that stage, but our position remains.
No, just a correction there. We have gone so far. We have written to the government of South Africa.
Okay.
Yes, and we have dispatched a letter to the government of South Africa, and we've outlined in a very detailed letter we've defended the merits of Forbes Burnham.
Yes.
We've outlined his contributions to the South African liberation struggle. And we've listed we've enumerated the things that he has done in that regard.
Including financial contributions.
Including financial contributions. And up to the other day, we were exposed to a policy paper on the South African liberation struggle under Forbes Burnham. So we've made our position known to the government of the South Africa, which is a sovereign state. There is not much we can do, but just to vent our position. But in addition to that, what we've also done is try to influence public opinion on the side of Forbes Burnham. We have compiled two short booklets with contributions by persons who have written in defense of Burnham's merit, and we have made those booklets available to the public. Right,
Okay.
so those are two very important and instrumental approaches in regard to defending Forbes Burnham's merit
And the right
vis-a-vis the
for
award.
him to be given the
Yes,
award.
yes.
So there you have it.
Yeah, and I just want to add that the Tambo Award is a voluntary award by the government of South Africa, and it is up to the South Africans to decide whether or not they would give the award, but it's not for the foundation or for Guyana to demand it. It is something that they have to decide who merits it or not, and they would give it, but we cannot force them or push them to give it. We
It happens out
defended
of good
his
conscience.
position, and we have written them and expressed our opinion on the matter, but it is up to them. We already knew of the contributions that he has made, and they can stand on their own merits. So there's nothing for us to really fight about.
I
What
am
is
proud-
done is done.
I am proud though that you've made this stand to actually write to the South African government. I am very, very proud of that.
Okay, okay.
The other thing, I grew up hearing about ban items on the Forbes Burnham, and I'm hoping that we could change the language someday, that these items were never banned, that they were restricted.
Yeah, but you're quite right. I like the word you use,
They were
restricted.
all restricted imports. You
Mhm.
always bring into Guyana 5 pounds of flour or anything around there.
Mhm.
You couldn't bring in mass quantities
Mhm.
because Guyana had so much to offer. That was the only reason you couldn't do it. And
Mhm.
even now, as we speak, you can't carry 5 pounds of milk powder into Barbados.
Mhm.
It is a restricted import.
Okay.
I wish that we could find a way to change that language. These
Oh.
items were never banned.
Well, we're working on that, and I want to thank you for your contribution and your call.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yes, dude.
Yes.
Actually, I didn't know at the time of the program that
Yeah,
the
we've written
foundation had
directly to the
actually
government of
written
South Africa.
to the government of
Yes,
South Africa,
yes, we've done that.
stating out your position.
And that
And I-
letter should be available on our Facebook page too.
Okay.
Yes. I think it's available on the website too.
On the website.
Right? Yeah, but the Facebook is a very active medium, and I encourage, especially the young people, to
I see the lines are growing.
access the network.
Morning, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Morning,
Dear
sir.
panel. I think that the ANC and the other freedom fighters in South Africa and Mr. Mandela himself would be aware of Burnham's contribution to the freedom fighting of South Africa, the South African blacks. And I think that under no circumstances should the Burnham Foundation be even worrying with the Oliver Tambo award, because if the persons who are there now, I know they were there ever since James Burnham was making his contribution, they are quite aware of his contribution. So
Okay.
if they choose to ignore his contribution, we know what contribution Burnham made. And,
Yeah, precisely.
and leave it as that. So I don't think that you're actually even worried it.
All right, thank you. Thank you for calling. Yeah, I kind of share closely with that gentleman's call and the position, because Forbes Burnham, the work that he has done for the liberation movement in South Africa and other parts of the world, is there for all to see. It is well documented. It has been published all over the world, and people in the Caribbean and Guyana knows what Forbes Burnham did in relation to the liberation struggle. And especially among the young Guyanese, there was an entire week that was devoted towards the young people being mobilized to support the work of the liberation struggle and encouraging the government of Forbes Burnham to make additional contributions towards the liberation struggle. So it was just not only talk, Burnham actually did things
Yes.
here locally, and that's why I'm saying I kind of feel that what we have done, the persons who are now alive in South Africa knows what Burnham did. They have seen it, and they should perhaps out of their own kind of volition and good conscience make available the award to Forbes Burnham. I want to, I want to, I want to perhaps ask both of you, because you are young people in the foundation, what you did ask for the young people to go on the Facebook that is now available, and you can, is there any specific program that the foundation has fashioned that will target young people?
Well, currently there's the mentorship scheme.
Yes, I know that.
That's going on, and it's in its infancy, and it will
Hold that
evolve.
for me, Dwayne. I know you're going to come there, but let me just take this call.
Okay.
Yes, you're on the air.
Bossman, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, morning, sir.
Bornum, you saying you're talking about Bornum there, right?
Yes, sir.
Bornum, we grew up in this country. The first changes Bornum do is starving people. So we know what you're talking.
Well, some people, it's not easy to really kind of try to get people wrong to understand when people are
At
talking
least he
sense.
survived.
At least
Yeah,
you have
but,
survived.
Yeah, person's views are person's views.
Yes.
That's the thing about life. Life is and facts. There is no thing as fact. There are perspectives.
Perspectives,
Right. So
yes.
the caller might have his perspective. We are the Forbes Burnham Foundation. Have another perspective, viewing things from another vantage point.
Yes.
So the caller, maybe he's starved. Maybe you never know the economic position of his family at that time.
Yes.
Right. But from a broader, more holistic perspective, which is the perspective that we're looking at, we are saying what we're saying. Right.
Yeah, we're
so
coming back to-
maybe his micro situation is that his family might have been struggling, because there are struggling families back then. There are struggling families today.
Even now, yeah.
Definitely, right? So, anyhow, thanks for the contribution. Still a
Starvation
contribution.
was his own making.
I want to come
It's
back.
hard to starve in Guyana.
I
when
want
you
to
have
come
a
back to you
backyard.
on this program that we talk about the mentorship and what you kind of fashioning for young people particularly.
Yes, as I said, the mentorship program is in its infancy, and it will evolve. It will evolve and encompass a larger amount of young people. But apart from that, as we proceed, we will develop programs specifically targeting the youths. At this current juncture, we think making the information available is the important starting point.
Information on Forbes World.
Definitely, that's
What
the
he has
important
done.
starting point. We put the information out there. We also
Hold, let me see if I take this call. Morning, you're on the air. Morning.
Could
Hello?
you speak up?
Yes.
yes, we make the available. We make the information available. Young people have the access to the information, and they have knowledge, or at least another perspective of the historical situation than the one that they have been, the one-dimensional perspective that they've been exposed to maybe 2 or a couple decades ago. So I think that's the important starting point. Make the information out there so the youths can read, absorb the information, and make their decisions for themselves. Right? And information goes along with empowerment. If we make the information out there, the youths absorb, analyze, synthesize the information, then it's hard for me or someone else come and tell them a view that
So
differ
something
from what
different.
the information suggests.
Yes.
Right? So I think that's the important starting point, and that's where we will be focusing for now. But as we proceed, we will develop programs, youth-based and otherwise, to tackle the youth situation in Guyana.
We have, this is the month of August. Bonham died on the 6th of August, 1985. What has the foundation done for this month to commemorate his death?
The foundation participates in the activities of the People's National Congress.
I see our lines are going. Let me take this call. Morning, you're on the air.
Morning.
Morning, sir.
I'm sorry for the person that had starved, because he starved because he was lazy. That's what I'm telling you. Because Born Americans make saltfish that we used to import. He make us make rice flour that we used to import. Everything we used to import, and now so many people get rich off of all them things that he make us make that was locally made. So I'm sorry for him. He was a lazy person. That's why he starved. Thank you.
All right, thanks for calling. Yes, your involvement
Yes,
to
the
commemorate
wreath
the day.
laying ceremony at the mausoleum on the morning of the 6th of August. The chairman of the foundation made a presentation at that activity, and we also participated in the wreath laying ceremony in the evening at the bust of the president. That's in Kitty at the NCW
Headquarters.
Yeah,
Well, that's an annual event.
that's an annual event, and the foundation usually participate in those activities rather than have duplicate.
Oh, all right. I seem to recall that the foundation commemorate his birth with much more activities than just participating in the various activities that have been planned by the party that he formed.
Yes, we usually
And-
hold a symposium at which there are presentations, interactions, and so forth. And apart from the symposium, we also hold sporting events like cycle races and so forth. We have religious activities and so forth.
Yeah.
So there are a list of events we try to do around his birth anniversary.
Morning, you on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
This is for the caller that called now, the second to last caller.
Yeah.
When Pops Borman restrict the importation of certain basic food commodities, okay, and Mr. Hyde brought them back. We used to import salted fish, cabbage, ginger, and all these products, like shrimps, peas, import them. And when Hyde brought them back, they were never imported in commercial quantities. Who were the beneficiaries to these products? Secondly, Pops Borman assembled tapir. Could you tell me where the tapirs are and who benefits from the tapirs?
Well, they refer to it as the Tapir City at Carriverton.
I didn't know it's correct on it there.
Carriverton.
You know, so these people, when they're talking these nonsense about Pops Burnham, they must check. You know, they must check these things out before they talk this kind of ignorance about a great politician, a visionary. So they must talk about, those are the things they must talk about. Not the little stupid things that they're hungry and all sort of thing, you know.
Which is why we're making the information available. If we talk about that same period, the banning of certain imports,
The restriction. The restriction of
the
imports.
restriction of certain
Then you
imports.
restrict the
Yeah,
basic commodities.
we have to be cognizant of the economic kind of
Environment.
ideology, not both the environment and the ideology, because in the post-colonial countries,
Who benefit from it?
yes, in the post-colonial countries, there were some very radical.
Was a mud hut.
Yes.
Now Carver City got concrete, is a concrete jungle, you know.
Yes.
So when these people talking about these nonsense, you know, it's only a certain, what Volkswagen did, is only a certain set of people benefit from it, you know, and it's not me.
All right. All right. Thank you very much.
Yes, the period in which Burnham made these radical divergence from the prevailing liberal economic paradigm is a period in the history of countries like these where, first of all, we were pushing a developmental agenda, industrialization, and so forth. So as one of the criteria of industrialization is that you had to restrict somehow. Persons did it by taxation and other means, but you had to restrict somehow the cheap imports that coming from countries that were largely subsidizing their industries
productions,
in order for our industry to develop.
Yes.
Right? And if we had made that sacrifice at that period, we would have been an industrialized country, right? To the level that we could have been able to produce many of the things that we utilize on a regular basis in Guyana. Our milk, our cheese, and those kind of
Pepper
things.
and
Those
ginger
things we are still importing, and those things we use, those are breakfast materials that we use almost every morning. The nut butter and all of those things. Those things are still coming from outside. So it's stifling the developmental capacity of the country. Everything we want today, we are importing, and there is no drive towards utilizing the raw materials we have here and be self-sufficient
in those kind of
Right.
commodities.
If you look at the economy now, over 51% of our GDP, it's based on import and export services,
Okay.
right? And that's not sustainable over a certain
Morning,
period.
you're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
Yeah.
I'm an older Guyanese under the Bornum, right?
Yes.
That left Guyana
Mm.
after independence,
Mm-hmm.
shortly after independence. And I tell a lot of people when I have conversations like this, all the educated people in Guyana was black folks. And they all left on the Bornum, never come back. Right? Everything we're speaking about it, that, you know, the tapi and all these kind of things, look who's the beneficial. No black folks is beneficial, nothing going on in this country. Why? Because we never follow what the man was saying.
Okay.
We never take advantage of it. We let the next man take advantage of it. You see, so we left stuck in a hole.
All right.
Wait, one more. This
Yes.
generation, this young generation, to try to follow up on Bornum, you know, the organization and all these kind of things. It's very hard. It's very hard. They into one set of stupidness. You know, I live next to a black school, a mixed school, and every afternoon I got to talk to young black girls and boys. If you hear the language, when you look at the Indians, they just formed a little group and they gone up the road.
Yeah, that will form another program by itself
Right,
by the
right.
foundation, because I myself share closeness to that
Good.
view in relation to the next generation, what it's going to be like.
Good.
Mm.
And, you know, we lose one generation under that, and now we're losing another generation.
All right.
That's my comment.
Yeah, thank you. It's coming up to program time, ladies and gentlemen. I think that we've been enjoying this program so far. I'm very, very happy to have these two young people and to be talking so forcefully on the things for everyone. And the lines are going. Morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah.
Is Andy?
Yeah, morning.
Yes, morning.
Good morning.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
okay. This is the heading Andy's, right?
Yeah.
Ardis, no? ARDYSS, right?
No,
Yeah.
this is the Forbes Bornum
There's a Forbes Bornum Foundation.
Oh, okay. At one time, I think you were talking about making, what do you call it, making money or something.
No.
I think you're onto the wrong program.
They're the wrong
I think he's
program.
onto the wrong program.
Yeah. All right.
That number is not 223-5192.
Yeah, but we're not talking about things in
Yeah, you're onto
artists,
the
about
wrong
the
program.
foundation. All right. Yes, we coming up to program time, and let me hear your last views, David.
Well, my last advice to the persons out there who are interested in information on Forbes Bornum is to check out his website, the Forbes Bornum Foundation website. Check out the Facebook group and utilize some of the media that we've made available and get information. Inform yourself so that you can stand on your own ground in relation to knowledge about one of our most outstanding presidents.
Yes. Yeah, Julian.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Hines. I'd like to thank the viewers for watching and to continue to appeal to you if you have any of those speeches available from the 40s onwards to bring them in and so that we can use them to help inform the next generation.
Right. And I want to thank you, viewers, for having me in your living rooms, bedroom, and kitchen today. I think we have had a good time. You have the numbers you can call, you know the Facebook, and I'm your host, Clayton Hines. Next time in September, the 4th Sunday in September, when I'll be back with you for another program, The State of the Nation. I thank you.